It is time for the yearly tradition on my channel where I do a full face of the worst makeup of 2024. According to me, I do this every time around Christmas. I don't know exactly when this one is going up, but probably around Christmas, where I just, listen, I already did my best and worst of beauty. I will link the worst of beauty down below in case you're interested in seeing all of the products. And then I pick a full face of products from that list and I do a full face and just like, is it really as bad as I remember? Am I able to make this work? And sometimes I also will say, sometimes things look really good, you know, on camera, but it doesn't feel that good. And I just have stuff in front of me and I'm just like, we'll just see how all of this feels. Like I said, I will put the worst of the year video down below in case you want to see what other products I had in there as well, because I had more things. And one thing I had on here was the Kosas BB Burst Tinted Gel Cream. According to me, this is thick. Like it is, you can see it's not spreading out at all. It's so thick. And when they say gel, I was thinking something that was like a little lighter, something that felt fresher on the skin. But for me, this feels, this also have already gone bad. Okay, this is how you know something's gone bad. And it doesn't look weird, but it smells like fermented crayons and I'm still putting it on my face. Definitely taking this off afterwards. So this is also one of the things. Kosas seems to be unable to do products that last even nearly as long as the shelf life is, because I bought this less than a year ago and the shelf life is 12 months. So it didn't last for 12 months. Also, I see now that I spritz it out that it has separated a little bit. So that's also great. So what I will say about this, not only is the how long it lasts clearly not 12M, one would think that it's months, but maybe with Kosas they mean minutes. It feels thick and heavy on my skin. I have a normal combo skin and it becomes incredibly greasy after just a couple of hours, making this unbearable to wear. I've seen some people with dry skin loving this one. It smells really bad though, so let's not overdo it. I've seen some people with dry skin loving this one, and I would say unless you like a very dewy coverage and you have dry skin, I don't think this is for you. And honestly, seeing that mine has gone bad after storing, I store my makeup perfectly fine. I store it in this room. It is not humid, it is not too warm. I always have my AC on, the sun is not shining on it, and it did not last the full 12 months. And I have makeup that I've had in my collection for years and it still has not gone bad. I don't know who's formulating Kosas stuff, but they're not doing a great job. I mean, you can tell how glowy this looks. It looks very glowy. Another thing that I really did not like this year was the Best Skin Ever Glow Concealer by Sephora. I felt like this one was very, it was like light under the eyes, but it's still somehow, you can see it's like a little bit more liquidy. It still somehow didn't spread or look even under my eyes. And once I got powder on it, it looked incredibly textured. I will of course zoom in a little bit at the end so we can truly see this masterpiece. And I will try my absolute very best to make this makeup look as good as it possibly can. Because sometimes with makeup, and I will say that, and I've said that a lot on my channel the past couple of years, makeup has come so far and it's very unusual, I will say, for makeup to be that like, oh my god, what is this? This formulation sucks. I feel like most makeup that are released is like really good formulated and it's just something more along the lines of, this isn't my preference, this isn't made for my skin type, this isn't made for my whatever. It's usually not like what is going on. And I will say this concealer, it has like a medium coverage and one would think that I would really like it. And I will say today, just initial impression, I also have less textured under eyes right now. I do like it more than I did when I had more textured under eyes, because I was battling with the after effects of eczema. So I didn't put it on my eczema, but after you have eczema, your skin is like even more textured and feels drier, and on that skin this concealer looked like poo-poo. And there are concealers that I have in my collection that work so great on my under eyes regardless of the state of my under eyes. And I will say this one works okay today. We'll see when I put some powder on. I did pull out this powder because this one was one of my least favorite products of the year. And this is the powder from Rare Beauty. It is called the Tinted Pressed Finishing Powder. So what I will do is that I will do a powder that I mentioned in my favorites, which is the new Tower 28 powder. I will use that one under my eyes to set the concealer down. And we'll see if this concealer, maybe it gets to stay in my collection if it works when my under eyes are in the best condition it can be, basically, you know. Full night of sleep and just hydrated and nice. Maybe it's better, but if you have any kind of problem under eyes, I do not recommend that concealer whatsoever. This powder, for me, this powder didn't do much. I don't think that it blurs my skin. I don't think it gives like a glowy finish to my skin, but I do think that it looks like powder on the skin. So it only just, for me, emphasizes and makes my skin look a little heavier without actually doing any of the blurring. And I have heard people say they really like this powder, but for me, this powder was just an extra step that didn't really do much. You can see it takes away some of the shine. But yeah, not my favorite powder, not my favorite product from Rare Beauty by a long shot. But I'll put some on. If nothing else, it is darker than the foundation, so maybe my face can come back to like the shade of my shoulders, who knows. I just felt like this powder was a nothing powder. I feel like there was a couple of powders actually released this year. I probably should have, in my least favorite of the year, should have mentioned the Hourglass powder. Not because I think necessarily that it is a bad powder. It's not a bad powder, but it's a pretty mediocre powder, and for that price tag, I don't want mediocre. I want it to be excellent, extraordinary, and I think my NYX powder, the Pressed HD, does a better job than that Hourglass, and you can get 4 of those powders for 1 Hourglass. This is the bronzer by Gloss Gods. This is a cloud bronzer. This is on Cloud 9. This is supposed to be a sheer bronzer, but I think this is too sheer. Like, you will see. Also, the pan is very, very small, and my brushes from Cinch are very small, and still I feel like this pan is too small. You can see I'm digging in, yet there isn't much going on the skin. So yes, it is a sheer bronzer, but I mean, this doesn't do much at all. I just think that this formulation, it needed more than this. It's a nothing bronzer. It's like a sheer bronzer is all fine and dandy and a buildable bronzer, but I just think that this is too sheer. Like, you don't get enough on your brush. And I do think that a lighter bronzer is nice. I mean, you saw me mentioning the Makeup by Mario bronzer in my yearly favorites. Like, I love it. It's a very sheer, transparent bronzer, but this is like too sheer. You have to dig it in and you still don't get, according to me, enough. I think releasing a sheer like gel blusher is a good idea, but I think that this formulation needs a little tweaking because I think it is way too hard to pick up and gives way too little on the skin for the effort that you put in. One thing that I had in my least favorite makeup of the year is the Fenty Beauty lip liner, because again, every time I use it, I have to sharpen it because it is so soft that like I just touch it towards my skin. I just think that this is a lipstick. This is a lipstick in the form of a pen. And it's too pigmented. It gives me this thick line straight out of the gate. And I think it's just too soft and too pigmented. And I want something that is a little less than this. Just a little bit. I don't necessarily want something that is dry. I just feel like this gives too much pigment, too much product straight out of the gate, and I just am not able to be as precise as I want to be. Like, I want to be able to fade my liner a bit, but I don't feel like I'm able with this formula, but it is what it is. But we are going to be using, let me actually show you the B-roll of this again. These are the lip vinyls by Tarte. These are the goopiest, stickiest, thickest product I've ever tried for my lips, I think. And there is one that is sheer, which is the pink one, and you can just dot this one on and you can like mush your lips together and it will be fine. This one is in the shade Cacao, and this is supposed to be an opaque one. When I use this one, people tell me, oh, you're supposed to dot it on your lips. I'm gonna use this one again and you can see I'm dotting. What is that? How am I supposed to, like, do you see? It's just pooling up. And when you mush it together, it becomes, like, how am I supposed to, look at how that looks. That does not look good. This just isn't a good product. I'm sorry, this formulation, and it feels so thick and goopy on the lips, and you can tell it's so opaque. It just doesn't spread nicely. It doesn't look good. I'm gonna see if I can fix this with a brush. I just don't think, and now that I fix it with a brush, it just removes the product. Can you see that? This is one of those products, can you tell? It just removes the product when I use it with a brush. This is one of those products. I have a sneaking suspicion that they did not even use this product on the product photography because it is such a bad formulated product. It is so thick. You can see. It's supposed to be a super shiny formula, but when you need to use something to spread it out. And when you start spreading it out like this, it just turns into something not as shiny and not as appealing. And I don't think that this is good. This is as good as it can look. It still doesn't feel great, and it definitely does not look like on the promo pictures. Let me tell you that, but it is okay. I also wanted to mention, and this is the Precise Contour and Highlighter by Makeup Revolution. There is a really nice highlighter at this end. Like this highlighter, really nice. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is this contour pen. I like the idea of this. You're supposed to be able to do like a little bit on your nose. I like contouring like here if I'm contouring my nose, not my actual nose. And if you use your finger, this actually works pretty okay. But in the promo pictures, they were using it over here, and you can tell how it drags on the skin. It kind of applies, you can tell how hard this is to blend out, like an eyebrow pen. And it definitely does not, I mean, it somewhat works on your nose, but it doesn't work with a sponge. It doesn't work with a brush. It barely works with your finger. It is just too little emollient in this to be a cream contour. And I mean, this even now doesn't look good because it doesn't blend out good. Can't use a brush, can't use a sponge, barely can use your fingers. And they were showing the model contouring with this all around her face. And I'm just here to tell you, you're not gonna enjoy that. This was a poorly formulated product. You don't need to buy this. Before we get into cheeks, because the cheeks are sticky, we're gonna do eyeshadow, because if we get any kind of fallout on the sticky cheeks, there's no return, because it's gonna just suck it up because it is so sticky, goopy, fly papery. So we're gonna do eyes first, because that's the journey we're on. And I am gonna be using the Kiss and Glamlight Rock and Roll palette. Here's the thing. I think this palette is meh. This formula it's okay, but if you wanted to try indie makeup, if you wanted to try the good Glamlight formula, this isn't a good representation of any of those two. This is a okay matte formula with a pretty subpar shimmer formula. There's nothing exciting about this palette, quite honestly. So what we are gonna do today, because I'm also gonna be using the pretty meh multichrome, and I'm using multichrome very loosely here, Depends by Colourpop. So I'm going to be using these as a shimmer, and I'm going to be using these as mattes, because these shimmers are pretty matte. These are pretty matte too, but at least if I layer these on top of mattes, that's the way that I've been able to use these the best. So that's what we're going to try. And I think I'm going to do just a little bit of like a green matte eye, because the mattes are pretty decent. Definitely. And here's the thing, if you buy this for the merch, if you buy this because you love Kiss, I don't think you're gonna hate this palette. But if you buy this because you love Glamlight, I do think you're gonna be disappointed, because this isn't the good Glamlight formula. Get Betty Boop, get Garfield, get Rick and Morty, get anything else but this. I'm just gonna do the green shade that's called Catman in my crease and on my lid as well. I wish there was a lighter matte in here as well, but this is pretty much the lightest matte that is in here. So I'm gonna do this in my crease, and I'm gonna deepen it up with the one that is called Lick It Up. This one. Hopefully that one will be a little darker. And I'm going to deepen up with that one. I'll use a little bit of those under my eyes as well. And as you can tell, the mattes are pretty decent. There's nothing wrong with the matte. I think those are pretty nice. It's just that when you're used to getting just really exciting glam light shimmers and you get these really thick emollient, like they're thick and heavy and hard pressed, and they're just not, I don't know, there's something about these really thick shimmers that just feel very 2015. And I just think that they have done so much better, and I was just disappointed by this. But I'm just going to keep this very easy and simple so that we can use one of the multichrome crayons by Colourpop, because I felt like those, they were just not, they swatch okay. But you can even tell in the swatches that, like, when you see swatches of people swatching them on social media, that like these are not going to be super exciting. These are not going to be amazing multichromes. These are affordable multichromes, but I almost think that Colourpop should just have charged a little bit more for those and just made them more impactful, because on the eyes they're just a faint glimmer, and you have to be in absolute perfect conditions with a really young, non-crinkly, not like any kind of texture on your lid, with this all over your lid from beginning to end in absolute perfect lighting conditions for this to show up as anything else but just a faint shimmer. And I was just so disappointed. I brought a couple of these traveling thinking that this was going to be like an easy way to spruce up an eye look, but it just honestly did nothing. Not gonna lie, I was just on Marco Polo. These greens don't even go together. Great. I was just on Marco Polo with my friends, and I was like, my skin, it does not look great. This combo with this powder and this foundation just makes my skin look kind of textured and almost patchy. So, not loving that. Is this? This is okay. This is okay. They're just a little bit too similar to each other in depth, and then just a different undertone, which initially just made it look a little weird, but I'm packing it on out here. I think it's gonna work out. This will be fine. You know what? That is pretty okay. Just softening up a little bit here. That is totally decent. So this is the crayon. It is called Colourpop Shadow Sticks with the Winx Club in Golden Pollen. So it is one of those that is a green to a like gold to a purple, and I think on a dark matte is probably when you're gonna get, but I mean, is it multichroming? That I don't know, but on a dark matte, that's how I noticed you get the most bang for your buck with these, let's say. I'm gonna blend it out a little bit out here, and I think this is probably gonna be as good as this one is gonna look. As you can tell, there is a little duochrome to them now that I have it on the dark base, but I have tried wearing these on their own on the eyes. They're just a very, very faint glimmer, and there are so many iridescent topper shades that look so much better than these. So if you're thinking this is gonna be one of those impactful iridescent topper shades, it's not really that. I do want to put something in my inner corner. Oh, let me reach out. I'm actually going to dig into my Galactic Visitor, even though clearly this is not one of my least favorites of the year. This is the palette that I did with my own brand, Cinch Beauty, but I'm just going to use, because I feel like it's almost looking a little dull in the inner corner, I'm just going to use a little bit of the shade We. The first row says We Come in Peace. I really like how I did that with the shade names, because I thought that was just, I don't know. You know, am I that old now that I think I'm like, my own jokes are funny? But I had a fun time naming it like that. But I just felt like it looked a little dull, and like I said, the Kiss palette is not offering anything to brighten up. So I think that looks a little better. I also don't like how the lip looks. I think it looks a little pat. I'm not loving it. Another product that I said that I didn't love this year, oh my god, I'm losing my top as well, that's not great, is the Hard Candy liquid eyeshadows. These are the matte ones. These are very sheer, patchy, they dry down but still crease, so you can't blend it out because they're matte, and they're very powdery as well when they dry down, so you can't use them as an eyeshadow primer. But I thought, how about if I try to use this as like a liner detail? See, this might be the way I use this. As like a liner with a brush, because it is not opaque enough to be an eyeshadow. It doesn't blend, it kind of creases, and I can't use it as an eyeshadow primer, but I can use it like this, and I do like that, so I might keep it for like liner and details. Technically, I did mention the H&M liner for the waterline as my least favorite eyeliner of the year, but I am not doing this again. Absolutely not. This one, it goes on my waterline and then it holds together like plastic, like a film. And it just whoop, went into my eye, and I had to fish it out of my eye as a worm. A plastic worm still holding together. I don't know who formulated this one, but they clearly know nothing about makeup. Absolutely not. So I used this one instead to actually, like I said, I'm trying to make, and also matching with my nails, trying to make this into something I can wear. This is Electric Daisy by Colourpop. Unfortunately, discontinued, but this is the life we're living. I'm going to be using the Refine Mascara. This is such, according to me, this is a gimmick. My eye is not this curved, and my eye is also not this long. So this one, and I don't know why I'm doing this again, but this one ends up poking me either in the eye or on the cheek, so that I get mascara everywhere. It's so tricky. Like, it's literally the hardest mascara wand I've ever used in my life, and I don't think that's how it's meant to be. Like, I can't even use this on my lower lash line. It's so hard. No, I'm gonna poke myself in the eye. It's not meant for my eye shape. This only works if it's your perfect eye shape. And it's not my perfect eye shape. It pokes me in the eye, it pokes me on the lid. It's just the wrong, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's gimmicky. It only works if it's your eye shape. And no, I think that's a stupid release, because it is so limiting as to who it works for, and you won't know until you poke yourself in the eye. Speaking from experience. At least I'm wearing my favorite mascara, so that's something, I guess. So we are going to be doing the Complexion Rescue Bronzer and Highlighting Blush. Now, these are bronzers, bare minerals. These in a pressed powder formula, A+. Absolutely beautiful, 100% recommend them. In a liquid formula, girl, these are sticky McStickerson. And also this packaging, like, I don't understand why we picked a squeezy tube like this. I just don't think this is good packaging at all. These are very, very sticky. I'm gonna put some on my cheeks. I like the color, and I don't necessarily hate how they look on. I just think that these are way too sticky for what they are, and I just wish that we could have gotten a different kind of formula when it's such a wonderful product, which is, the bronzer is just a blush and a bronzer combined. They just have these beautiful, like, neutral bronzy undertones to them, and the highlighting blush is just a very highlighty, a blush highlighter hybrid. I just don't like the texture at all. They are very, very sticky, but now I used very little. And we're gonna do highlighter as well. I am not going to be the only person this year that are going to mention these as a yearly, like, least favorite product. These are can you see how goopy this looks? Oh my god, it's stuck on the lid. These are the Patrick Ta highlighting duos. This cream here, there's some stuck on the lid here. They are so goopy. And these two together, if I put this in, oh my gosh. Oh, can you see? It's just moving it around. Okay, let's scrape some of that off. And it is actually Vaseline. This is actually glitter Vaseline that you are putting on your cheeks. And you need to put the smallest amount. Otherwise, first of all, it's going to dissolve anything you have underneath. Anything you have going on underneath, it is going to dissolve. And also, I feel like this formula here, This powder, it's okay. It's a very subtle powder highlighter, which honestly, sometimes I like. I actually kind of like this one. I wish he would have just released this as a single. The cream, oh my god. Look, I squished it down. It's just flat. It will dissolve anything you have on underneath. And the reason why it's highlighty is because it's creamy. It's Vaseline. It is like highlighty because of the formulation of the product. And I just don't think that it looks good. Let me lower the light a bit so that I can show you, because my skin and my lips, they have definitely looked better. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit and see if I can show you. Honestly, it's looking way better on camera than this. I'm like, if my makeup looked like this, I'd be fine. I would say the eyes look pretty good. I was able to work something with the eyes, but I think you can see on the lips, the pigment is separating from the goopiness, and I got striped lips. And you see that pigment and the vinyl feeling, it's all gone. I think the skin is looking very textured and kind of heavy, and you can tell that this is sticky Vaseline. I have one of these like, this is Makeup Revolution Emily in Paris, but let me take out one of these. It's a blotting paper. Like if I put this here, it won't stick. But if I put this here, Your Honor, I rest my case. This makeup, it doesn't feel good and it doesn't look good. I will say the eyeshadow, it has never looked this good. I really was able to make the most out of these things. If you bought these liquid shadows, if you bought these crayons, I hope you got some inspiration of how to use it. The lip color, absolutely awful. The skin, I don't like it at all. I have my friend Lisa here in the room and she was like, almost like choking laughing when I put the paper on. Let's just say I have definitely looked better. And I think I probably will save these crayons for reference in my collection. I will save these for reference. I will save this one to use for like details like this one. I think that's pretty good. Other than that, you know, these things are just like, nobody deserves this. Nobody deserves these products. I have so much good makeup. Why would I use this? I was gonna say asking for a friend, but I'm not. I'm clearly asking for me. I hope you have a good day. I hope you did not end up spending your money on lousy makeup this year. I hope you're having an amazing holiday season. If you're celebrating Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I will see you soon again in a new video. I think it might be my new makeup releases. Bye.